Bitcoin Genesis Block Day. Is this the new Independence Day? Brandon Gentile here. Let's dive into this. So, guys, how are we doing today? How are we doing? Nolan, Bowerley, one of my favorite openings. I don't have my coffee. The Bitcoin is running. The sun is going down, unlike Nolan talks about it going up in the morning. And I don't have my coffee anymore. I drank it earlier today. So things are well. Things are all good, right? What's good is bad. What's bad is good. On January 3rd, 2009, a software developer by the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto released the first version of the Bitcoin software. This event marked the beginning of a new era in digital currency and the creation of the first ever Bitcoin block, known as the Genesis block. The concept of Bitcoin, or a digitally native currency, had been floating around for years before the release of Bitcoin. There's actually a great chart, which I'll add in here, about the 40 years of technology and advances and discoveries that led into the creation of Bitcoin, the discovery of Bitcoin, putting all those things together, which we'll talk about here in a moment. With many individuals and groups attempting to create a digital currency that was decentralized and not controlled by any government or financial institution. However, it was Satoshi Nakamoto who finally succeeded in creating a system that met these requirements. And we still don't know. We still don't know who Satoshi is, or he or she or they. We still don't know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If it's the FBI, CIA, people have been commenting. I had some comments the other day of, there's all the Bank of International Settlements, all the big boys. They control the hardware, the software. That at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you have something that's off the internet, it doesn't matter who built what or who made what or who invented what. It really doesn't matter. As long as you have open source technology that everyone can audit and see what is happening, really that's all you need. I mean, you can go into the other reasons that's not the case, but that's all you need. Whether it's the hardware, the software, if you have open source, someone can audit it. We can see what's going on, who is operating things, or who built something. Or is there malicious bugs in it or something like that? Right. Not to go down that road. However, that's one of the beauties of Bitcoin. We'll talk about here in a second. And then I wanted to put this chart in here about price. Starting at 1 cent, then 25 cents. Laszlo selling his pizzas, kind of discovering a commercial price for Bitcoin, and going from nothing, all the way down here, the Bitcoin Genesis block being worth nothing, all the way to here, 10 million a coin, a million a coin, 100,000 a coin, a billion a coin. JP Morgan, I believe that JP Morgan had some charts they'd shown with their predictions where they think it could go. And it was into the hundreds of millions and billions potentially, over 50, 100, 200 years. Again, remember, it's an inverse of currency printing. So Bitcoin could go to trillions and quadrillions in US dollar. But if US dollar is worth nothing and buys you nothing, then what does it matter at the end of the day? And that could be 100 years from now, 200 years from now. So that's kind of the point of it. It's an inverse relationship. You want to think about that when you're going. And I'll just show you the inverse relationship. So again, here's Bitcoin to the dollar. Bitcoin to the dollar. It shows you the value of the dollar of the last 7 years to Bitcoin, just going through the floor, right? So if you start going and looking at things from the correct lenses, right? When you take the communist lens off, as I say, when you're kind of thinking about things politically or different properties of Bitcoin, and you're taking this collectivist mindset and taking that lens off, then things start to become clear. Or we can see, conversely, what I talk about a lot of times, and not to go too far down the rabbit hole, is when you can see globalist intentions when you put on your collectivist or your communist lenses. Then things become very clear as to the control and the power they're trying to usurp and the things they are doing. What are some of these requirements? You ask. Again, a system that met these requirements. Satoshi Nakamoto finally succeeded in creating a system. And what was some of those discoveries, those huge discoveries? One is cryptography. Bitcoin uses advanced cryptographic techniques such as hash functions and digital signatures to secure transactions and protect the integrity of the blockchain. SHA-256. Number two, peer-to-peer networking. Bitcoin relies on a decentralized network of computers known as nodes to validate and record transactions. This peer-to-peer network allows for the transfer of value without the need for a central authority. Game changers, game changers. Number three, blockchain technology. The Bitcoin blockchain is a decentralized distributed database that records all Bitcoin transactions. It uses a system of blocks and hashes to ensure the integrity and security of the database. I like to call it the time chain now. There's some guys on Twitter, some incredible engineers, Ant on Twitter, TC on Twitter, Meditation Man, creating these beautiful sites, and actually have them right up here. Time chain calendar. Well, this is Clark Moody's dashboard, but the time chain calendar, unbelievable. Go check this out. Look, he's got stuff on here about Bitcoin Genesis Day, and then time chain stats. All you need to know about the stats on the blockchain, on the time chain, and they've both renamed them time chain. So these are important developments again in the community, and things that people are doing left and right, to give us information, to give us resources as to how to learn. We have Bitcoin Lexicon. I believe that was started by Ant as well, going through. So many cool things that are available for us. Paying in Bitcoin, Bitcoin Pay, IBEX Mercado. The things are happening on Lightning, just mind blowing, mind blowing. Number 4, game theory. Bitcoin's design incorporates elements of game theory, such as the use of incentives to encourage users to follow the rules and contribute to the network. Number 5, computer science. The development of Bitcoin required a deep understanding of computer science concepts such as data structures, algorithms, and network protocols. And really, in here is proof of work. And I probably should change this, really, honestly. Proof of work is one of the big discoveries that were what make Bitcoin run and make Bitcoin what it is. Proof of work and the ability, or I should say, and I'll go down here and talk about one of the last things, some things you might not know. We'll talk about this right now, actually. The first Bitcoin in the blockchain is known as the Genesis block. It was created on January 3rd, 2009 by Satoshi. And the first Bitcoin in the blockchain contains a message from Satoshi. The Times, this is the quote, "The Times, January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." This message is believed to be a reference to a headline in the UK newspaper The Times, which was critical of the financial industry. So we can kind of see the origins, the genesis of why Bitcoin was created. The Genesis block is unique that it has no predecessor block. Obviously, it is the first block in the blockchain, in the time chain. All subsequent blocks are linked to the Genesis block through a process called hashing, like we talked about earlier, hashing through SHA-256, which that in itself can be changed later on down the road in the type of hashing that's going on. And I don't know tons about that, but it's quantum computing. People ask about that all the time. Is that something? Well, that can be changed. Fortunately, Bitcoin is very, very robust, very anti-fragile. 4, the creation of the Genesis block marked the beginning of a new era in digital currency and the start of the Bitcoin network. Satoshi did not, I don't know why I have that here, Satoshi did not pre-mine the coin. That is remarkable. No one else can say that. There's really no one else that can say that. In all the altcoins, scam coins, the affinity coins, everyone trying to copy Bitcoin. And the anniversary of the Genesis block today is celebrated by many in the Bitcoin community as Bitcoin Genesis Block Day. And it really will be, I believe, like I say down here, it will be looked at as July 4, 1776. It will be that. And there's a chance that it's looked at as AB eventually, after Bitcoin. Time might be measured in Bitcoin, after Bitcoin, AB. And that's, the time chain, everything. The time might change, because you might say we are at 760,000 block height instead of, my child was born at 760,000 block height instead of my child was born on this day, this time. So you don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I have no idea, but that's possible. The way Bitcoin operates, that is possible now to do that. Satoshi is thought to have mined around 1,100 Bitcoin or so. And again, this isn't a sure thing. No, I don't think anyone knows truly how many he owns, but that's generally always the number you find and see. And they've never moved from their wallets that we know of. They've not moved. And many people don't think Satoshi's around anymore, whether they are, aren't, or he or she. It's the charitable work, I guess, of releasing it to the world and eventually going away about 2 years after the project was started and stepping away. And starting the mining war at 50 and then 25 and then 12 and a half, and that halving cycle every 4 years of how many Bitcoin are mined every 10 minutes. So we're already at 91% or so, already about 91% mined. So it just shows you that the price is going to mathematically go up as people see the power in Bitcoin over time, and they're fighting for the Bitcoin at the margins, the people that are willing to sell. It's going to shoot through the roof, as most people are not willing to sell, at least right now. So let's go back up here very quickly. We talked about some of the things. Proof of work was such really, I think Adam Back was big in the proof of work area. And again, that's what is in direct contradiction to proof of stake, the fiat legacy system, where people just tap a button, boom, got myself some more wealth, stole it from all the rest of you through inflation, through debasement. That can't happen in Bitcoin. Satoshi couldn't do that. He had to use computational power, energy, electricity to mine Bitcoin. The Bitcoin software allows users to send and receive payments directly to each other without the need for a central authority. Transactions are recorded on a decentralized network called that time chain, which allows for transparency and prevents fraud. The release of the Bitcoin software and the creation of the Genesis block were met with skepticism and disbelief by many in the financial world, as you can imagine. Much FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Many experts predicted that the system would fail and that was simply a passing fad. However, as more and more people began using Bitcoin and the value of the currency began to rise, it became clear that this was not just a passing trend. Today, Bitcoin has become a household name and is widely accepted as a legitimate form of currency. Again, there have been ups and downs in terms of fiat, but one Bitcoin still equals one Bitcoin. That's it. And when Bitcoin is the only thing that exists 10, 50, 100 years from now, it won't matter, right? It won't matter. There will be no exchange rate. The network is at all-time highs in many categories and statistics, and we can go to things like time chain stats to figure that out and see where are we? What is a dollar worth? What is a Satoshi worth? And go through all the network security, the hash rate, 250 exahash. It's incredible what's happening, and the fundamentals of Bitcoin have never been stronger. It's incredible, but the price is down 75% in this year. So the average person looks at it and says, oh, I can't get in, but they don't look under the hood. The anniversary of the Genesis block is an important moment in the history of Bitcoin. It's celebrated by many in the Bitcoin community. It marks the beginning of a new era in digital currency. And it serves as a reminder of the potential of decentralized systems to disrupt traditional financial structures and political structures and nation states, etc. As we look back in the past 14 years of Bitcoin's existence, it is clear that it has come a long way since the release of the Genesis block. We are still very early, though, in terms of education and adoption, but exponential growth takes a bit of time with all technology. All technology takes a bit of time on that S-curve. Gradually, then suddenly. And again, I do believe that we'll look back at this date 100 years from now, like we do July 4th, 1776. And here is the white paper itself. 9 pages, you can print it out, you can look at it, read it for yourself. It's open source. Anyone can copy it, anyone can work on it, anyone can try to mimic it. You can do anything, you can attack it. But it just keeps ticking. Tick-tock, next block, every 10 minutes. So celebrate today by taking some sats, some satoshis, if I could talk. Take some satoshis off the exchanges. Buy some if you don't have any, but take some off the exchanges and celebrate. Put it in your own custody. Censorship resistant, uncensorable, peer-to-peer, decentralized. You own it. It's a bearer asset. It's yours. Happy Bitcoin Genesis Block Day. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.